And with this handshake, it was over. What's next for the winner?
Do you have your ticket? It's going to be a madhouse. The Battle of the Blues starts with getting one.
And there's a connection between this bridge and Chapel Hill. We'll tell you what it is and why there's such a controversy about building a new one.
Carolina Week
starts right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
It wasn't even close, not at the end. Andrew Powell ran away with the student body president election, receiving more than 60% of the vote. Good evening, I'm Landon Dowdy.
And I'm Mary Alice McMillan. We brought it all to you live last night, the results of the runoff. Reporter Emily Palmer has that story, plus an interview with the winner.
After weeks of debates between student body president candidates Andrew Powell and Emilio Vicente, a defining moment.
For the office of student body president and the leader of our university for this next year, Andrew Powell has won with 4,760 votes and 62.9%.
A large victory margin, Powell says he was surprised. In the general election, Vicente garnered 41% of the vote, while Powell received only 28%. But with the endorsements of both former student body president candidates Winston House and Nikita Shamdasani, and, perhaps more importantly, the announcement by Vicente's former platform writer Ishmael Bishop that he too supported Powell, the tide turned. Just moments after the announcement, Powell joined our anchors on desk to describe the feeling.
Still in shock, my hands are kind of shaking.
And the morning after, a similar reaction.
It felt more real, I think, this morning than necessarily did last night, just because there was such a whirlwind of emotion and excitement.
Powell says he's ready to hit the ground running. Actually, he already has.
I'll hit send today.
He's drafted an email to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation asking for outside resources to implement his platform goals.
That initiative in particular is something I'm so passionate about that I was going to do everything I could to try and make it happen, however things went.
Big steps with a big purpose. But Powell says he wouldn't have it any other way.
It's incredible to see that after so much analysis and thought, the student body decided to kind of give their stamp of approval and push me forward into this position. And that's humbling.
That dream means knocking on a few doors, and Powell is starting at the top. Reporting in Chapel Hill, I'm Emily Palmer.
Yesterday's voting was record-setting in a number of different ways. The more than 7,000 votes cast was a record, especially remarkable since it was a runoff. And Andrew Powell wasn't the only winner last night. Students elected Sasha Seymour and Alexis White as senior class officers. Taylor Bates was also elected president of the Residence Hall Association.
They say any publicity is good publicity, right? Not really, and Carolina may be case in point. Ongoing scandals at UNC have people across the country talking about us, begging the question, has our image been damaged, tarnished? Maybe, but university officials appear to have an answer, a one-word answer.
There's been a tremendous amount of work trying to move forward.
We're working forward and we're trying to fix the problem.
We're very focused on what we're doing moving forward.
Continue with our true north.
You get the picture, but how? Joel Curran came to UNC this year as Vice Chancellor of Communications and Public Affairs. For the first time, a person with public relations experience is reporting directly to the Chancellor.
We're very focused on what we're doing moving forward, and there's a lot of important initiatives that are taking place in the admissions and the athletic department that I think provide our student athletes with a really strong educational experience.
Maybe, but the issue just won't go away, such as the latest with Mary Willingham. The administration, however, remains on message.
There's been a tremendous amount of work trying to move forward, and that's what we're really focused on now.
Even the student body president uses the same word.
There has been a lack of oversight from the administration, but yes, we're also trying to fix that currently, and we're working forward and we're trying to fix the problem.
Chancellor Folt addressed the issue recently, admitting the university has issues that need to be addressed. She met with students to talk about their concerns.
I think we're dealing with some of the most important issues and opportunities of the day, so that's how I see it every day.
I know that students did talk about a lot of the issues, specifically athletics and academics. What does this mean for the university's brand and our image?
I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me.
What does it mean for our brand? And
what do you mean by it?
The scandals of the academics.
Well, I think we're trying to work through some things that happened a number of years ago. I think you've all been a part of that. You've seen that. And I tend to believe that if we continue with our true north as being truthful, developing programs that we're extremely proud of, which I think is the basis of our programs now.
Moving forward, I would have to believe that that's it's part of our past, but it's part of the past that we've learned from.
University officials may be trying to move forward, but Mary Willingham, the self-proclaimed whistleblower, is back in the news. She says she's thinking about suing the provost for discrediting her research findings. Those findings painted a harsh picture concerning the ability of certain athletes to read. And we have that big game tomorrow night, and it should be a doozy.
I don't know. It's been raining off and on. They're expecting clouds and a few showers tomorrow. Not sure if the Dukies will be able to make it over. Ryan O'Rourke joins us.
They'll be here, but that wasn't the case last week with the snowstorm. Seems Duke couldn't make it the 8 miles to play the game. The University of Pittsburgh women's basketball team made it to Chapel Hill in the storm, traveling hundreds of miles and the bus trip from the airport. All of that has students all over campus talking.
I mean, it was kind of a smart move on that coach's side, but it's still kind of messed up.
A whole bunch of other people were driving, and apparently Duke doesn't know how to drive. So if they don't know how to drive, I don't know how they'd be very good at basketball either.
I guess there's not really anything that we can do about it, but we have tomorrow to settle the score.
I think they're wimps. I think that would have been one of the best Duke UNC games in history. I think it was like a cop-out move because especially since the girls had their game and it was like you're waiting. It's funny, people call it like a national holiday. Like we were expecting that and we didn't get it.
If you understand the weather is coming, you can leave beforehand.
Everybody on the entire East Coast knew that there was going to be a snowstorm, so they're 10 minutes down the road. They probably should have thought about that.
I thought it was a pretty wimp move of them not to come. I thought, tons of other people made it 8 miles. They definitely could have made it. So
everyone here, has this theory that they canceled because they didn't want to play in a crowd of students, and honestly, I kind of buy it a little bit.
Apparently, someone from Duke was able to find their way to Chapel Hill last night, and they brought a can of spray paint with them. We'll tell you about that later in the newscast.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you. It should be hopping at the Dean Dome tomorrow night. Duke is ranked in the top 10. Carolina's on a 7-game winning streak, and well, we just don't like those guys. But what about the tickets, especially for those students who showed up last week? Nicole Comparado is standing by live outside the Dean Smith Center. Nicole, is this ticket thing working out for everybody?
Well, Landon, considering that I was one of the students who waited more than 7 hours for tickets for a game that never happened last week, I would hope so. The athletic department of CAA is planning to honor those students' spots in line. So if this applies to you, listen up. If you're in the Phase 1 regular line or the riser line, you need to be here at the Dean Dome at entrance C by 5 o'clock. And 5 o'clock sharp. If you're not here by 5 o'clock, they will give away your spot in line. Not your ticket, but certainly a spot you waited a long time for. Same thing goes for Phase 2. Those people should arrive at the Dean Dome no later than 6 at the Corey Natatorium, which is right here next to the Dean Dome next to me. So that's what's going to work for those people. In terms of other people, though, it might be a little more unfortunate for those people who are hoping to hop in the standby line at 7:30. You might have a little less of a chance than you would have last week at getting a ticket, just because so many people were not able to make it into town. But if you feel like a gambler, you can come out here at 7:30 and try and get that extra ticket if you don't have another option. So the short answer to your question, Landon, is we hope. Back to you.
Thanks, Nicole. 7 hours. Whew. Do you have your ticket? The university appears to have it all worked out after that snowstorm canceled the game last week. Or was that Duke?
Whatever. Even without the snow, getting a ticket to the big game can be a pain. Is there a better system? As Emily Palmer reports, it depends who you ask.
Want a ticket to tomorrow night's Carolina-Duke game? You should talk to senior Mehmet Walker. He's using social media to give away his Phase 1 ticket, and the competition's fierce.
I am very heavily leaning towards the guy who says he will legally name his firstborn child after me.
Walker says he's received more than 100 messages, complete with videos and poems. Picking the winner won't be easy. At UNC, getting a ticket to the Carolina-Duke game is a roll of the dice. You enter the lottery and wait for an email to find out if you're going and where you'll be seated. Seniors get first priority, then leftover seats go to lower classmen. At least, that's how it's supposed to work. Walker didn't think he'd received tickets until he checked his spam folder.
Right underneath the penis enlargement pills I found my Phase 1 Duke ticket.
Walker says even though the lottery worked in his favor, he thinks there's got to be a better way.
Take a look at one alternative to the ticket lottery system. Here at Duke University, students have camped out for 6.5 weeks ahead of Duke Carolina tip-off at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Gabrielle Hodgins is director of undergraduate basketball operations at Duke. She says the first-come, first-served system has its perks.
The beauty of that is if you're the senior who is dying to be at the Duke Carolina game, you have the ability to get in line and guarantee that you'll be there.
UNC Associate Athletic Director Clint Gwaltney says that's fine for Duke.
What works for Duke, and what works for the University of North Carolina is what works for us. Some student may be willing to camp out for 6 weeks just to be able to attend the Duke game, but they pay the same student fees as another student who may have a job or may be focused on their academics.
With his nose in the books, Walker says he hopes one lucky student will cheer in his place. In Chapel Hill, I'm Emily Palmer.
We'll take you out of Chapel Hill into North Carolina's Outer Banks next. Sorry, we're not going to the beach. It's all about a bridge.
And we certainly hope JP Tokido has a few more of these come tomorrow night. We may need them when that other team comes to town. Sports is coming up later.
Be sure to check out Carolina Week online at carolinaweek.org. Connect with us online by liking the Carolina Week Facebook page and following us on Twitter at Carolina Week UNC.
That's low.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
Hey, going out like that?
Yeah, why?
Well, what would the neighbors think?
I see you! Come look at Mr. Feather! Look what I have. Mr. Bird, remember? Bark, bark, bark! We're just playing! We're just playing! I'm trying to get you out of there!
Even still.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
The Outer Banks of North Carolina is known for its beautiful sandy beaches. Spring break is coming up, and many of us will be heading that way.
But for the last 6 months, it's been a bridge that's been getting all of the attention. Our Delia D'Ambra investigates the ongoing battle over the reconstruction of a bridge and the Chapel Hill connection.
It's 51 years old and counting. The Bonner Bridge that connects North Carolina's scenic Highway 12 is falling apart. Dare County Commissioner Chairman Warren Judge knows fixing the situation is urgent.
We are on borrowed time. This new bridge should have already been in place. The old bridge should have been done away with.
A new bridge will be built, but where is controversial. Chapel Hill-based interest group, the Southern Environmental Law Center, or SELC, disagrees with the North Carolina Department of Transportation's proposal to build where the current bridge exists.
It's a very difficult thing to try to keep a fixed infrastructure like a bridge and a road on a piece of land that's that thin, that close to sea level, and constantly moving.
NCDOT and Dare County officials don't feel it's that difficult.
Somehow there's this belief that they can't engineer a bridge to withstand occurrence, and we can.
The SELC proposes an alternative 17-mile bridge through the Pamlico Sound that would reroute traffic around weaker parts of NC-12. The environmental impacts this could have concern Hatteras Island resident Beth Midget.
How do you build a 17-mile bridge through critical habitat? It just doesn't make sense.
Its $1 billion price tag and 10-year completion date are not ideal to officials.
The Southern Environmental Law Center and its clients need to be realistic.
SELC officials say their proposal would solve environmental and transportation problems.
We're really about trying to find a long-term solution for not only, the wildlife, but mostly for the people of Hatteras Island.
Until a solution is reached, questions of when and where the new bridge will reside remain foggy. In the Outer Banks, I'm Delia D'Ambra.
Attorneys for the state and SELC are expected to file their last briefs in the Fourth Circuit Appellate Court today. Arguments are scheduled to open sometime in April.
Solar power. It's at the heart of efforts to develop renewable energy. Maybe. But it is a small fraction of electricity generated today.
I'll say just 0.1%, and that number could be cut even more thanks to a new tax under consideration. Health and Science reporter Jasmine Singh has the story from Chatham County.
North Carolina-based Strata Solar reports it's the #6 supplier of solar energy in the United States. The company says it gets almost all of its panels from China because of low cost and high quality. Chief Operating Officer John Morrison says Strata Solar farms benefit North Carolina.
In the course of building a typical 40-acre, 5-megawatt solar farm, there'll be about $1 million of payroll and expenditures in the communities.
That investment could begin to slow. Last Friday, the U.S. International Trade Commission ruled on a complaint by a German solar panel manufacturer with a U.S. factory in Oregon. That company, Solar World, accuses China of dumping panels into the American market at low prices. A tariff or tax on Chinese solar panels might help U.S. manufacturers, but UNC professor Greg Ganji says it could cost U.S. jobs.
It's going to harm people who are installing solar power on roofs. It's going to hurt people who are building utility scale solar.
In a phone interview, the Oregon company's spokesman, Ben Santeris, said, "This is about the government of China, an unaccountable regime that has decided that it wants to dominate the industry and has bulldozed competition for its own good." Not true, says Strata Solar CEO Marcus Wilhelm.
Our fear is that, the International Trade Commission and the Commerce Department will be more focused on 400 jobs in Oregon than 140,000 jobs in the industry overall.
But the Oregon manufacturer says tariffs help U.S. solar panel industries. UNC's Ganji disagrees.
Their rationale is they'd rather have a bigger piece of a smaller pie than allow the pie to grow.
The U.S. Department of Commerce will pick up the investigation. The North Carolina Solar Company says it'll fight any attempt to raise the tax on imported solar panels from China. In Chatham County, I'm Jasmine Singh.
No one was hit when a shot was fired today along Cotton Street in Chapel Hill. Police say it was all part of a burglary at a house. Malik Antonio Burris is facing a number of charges, including first-degree burglary and assault with a deadly weapon. Burris is not a student, and police say his gun discharged before his arrest. Police say Burris is being treated for non-life-threatening injuries suffered in a scuffle during the incident. A UNC student received minor injuries during that scuffle.
Flu season may be winding down, but it's not over here in North Carolina, not yet. And there have been more deaths already this year than last. 64 people have died from flu-related illness in the state since last October. Reports indicate the individuals most affected are those 25 to 49. Last year, 59 people died from the flu. More than 550,000 vials of vaccine have been distributed by the North Carolina Department of Public Health, and officials still advise individuals to get a flu shot. And Delia D'Ambra joins us now live with more on the flu. Delia.
Thanks, Landon. The flu has been nasty this season and last year. And if you look at the total number of reported deaths for last season, it was the elderly that were affected the most. More than half of the deaths were here. The change this year, though, is somewhat unusual in that it's this 25 to 49-year-old age range that we're seeing the highest number of deaths from. Health officials say the popular strain this season is H1N1, and younger generations of people may not have the immunity that older generations have. We're nearing the end of the season, and you're still encouraged to get your flu shot, but in addition to the vaccine, there are 3 very important things health officials say you can do to help prevent getting sick. First up, cover your coughs and sneezes with a tissue and then get rid of that thing. Second up, everyone knows that, but we often forget, wash your hands frequently with soap and water. And if you're on the go, use some hand sanitizer. It's better than nothing. And third, and most important, if you are sick, stay home. Get some rest and don't put other people at risk. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Delia. And, I think a lot of it has to do with all that cold weather we had last week. But thank goodness the snow is almost gone and the temperatures feel like spring.
But what about all these showers? Meteorologist Drew Day will take a look at the next few days right after this.
Adopting a new pet is a rewarding experience. And shelter pets make super pets. Your new best friend will steal your heart, bring you happiness, and enrich your life for years to come. You can make a difference in the life of an animal. Adopt and bring home a shelter pet today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
Welcome back to Carolina Week, everyone. I'm Drew Day. We're going to start off your forecast this evening with a look at the current temperatures outside at Horace Williams Airport. The temperature right now is 69 degrees. The dew point is 56, and many areas were in the lower 70s for highs this afternoon, so it was quite warm out there today. We have plenty of breaks in the clouds this afternoon. That's what allowed us to warm on up. We had some showers move through the northern part of the state earlier this morning. Those are now gone, and the clouds that we do have aren't expected to produce any precipitation for the rest of the evening. Across the nation right now, the next system that we're watching is an area of low pressure sitting off to our southwest. It has a warm front associated with it that will be moving throughout the day tomorrow. So here's the setup right now. We have a cold front that passed through earlier this morning that brought us all of those showers. This high pressure system will be settling in across the area, and this cold front right here will get stuck between these two areas of high pressure. So it's not really going to go anywhere here for the next day or two. By 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, the front continues to remain to our south, but we'll be watching this warm front. That will start to move across the state by tomorrow afternoon. And by 1 p.m. you can see it'll be just to our south, and then by the time we get to tomorrow evening, it will have cleared the state. So right now there's a little uncertainty on exactly how high our temperatures will get tomorrow. Right now, as you'll see coming up in just a few minutes, we're forecasting 66 degrees tomorrow. And we'll be watching this cold front as it heads on off to the west and approaching for Friday, and that will bring us the chance for showers on Friday morning. 65 degrees will be the temperature if you're heading out to the Carolina and Duke basketball game tomorrow at 9 p.m. Temperatures will be in the lower 60s by the time the game is over at 11 o'clock. And so as we take a look at your forecast for this evening, temperatures will be in the low 40s across the area with partly cloudy skies. That wind will start to die down. It was a little breezy earlier today, but that will subside as we head throughout the overnight hours. Temperatures will make it into the upper 60s tomorrow afternoon with mostly cloudy skies, and as we break tomorrow down just a little bit further so you know what to expect throughout the day, temperatures will be in the 50s by tomorrow morning, 60s by lunchtime, and thanks to that warm front, it will remain in the 60s throughout the evening, which is good for the basketball game. Temperatures will continue to remain warm throughout the rest of the week and into the weekend, but as we head into next week, those temperatures will start to tumble back into the 50s.
Warm weather, no excuse for that bus not to get here tomorrow.
Yeah, no, none at all.
All right, thanks so much, Drew.
All right, you're welcome.
James Michael needs another game like this one. It's Duke, Carolina. That's coming up in sports.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad
One more
today.
time. All those boys are much too much. Those boys.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Ryan O'Rourke. We've been talking about it all day, and most people have been talking about it for weeks. If you can tell by the graffiti around campus, the Duke game is finally here. And some Duke fans came over and spray painted D-U-K-E on the South Building pillars. But fans and players alike won't let that slow them down. They're ready.
You know, with the game being canceled, you know, definitely gave us time to just rest, catch back up on schoolwork, be kids, play in the snow, but also, you know, become mentally prepared for this stretch that we knew we were going to have to face. So, you know, 2 games down, 2 left, you know, 2 wins. We're excited.
McAdoo will look to bounce back from his tough game against Florida State, where he had 0 points and fouled out early in the second half, midway through the game. The UNC baseball team is coming off a season that produced a 62-12 record en route to a College World Series trip. I spoke to members of the squad to see what to expect out of this year's Tar Heels.
The seasons are changing, and as winter turns to spring, the Diamond Heels start their 2014 season. But a new season brings new players. And with the loss of big bats such as Colin Moran and Cody Stubbs to the MLB draft, sophomore standout Sky Bolt says it will be essential for freshmen to embrace new roles.
We're going to be a lot better than a lot of people are giving us credit for, and it brings it back to the young guys. I think 2 or 3 of us stepped up last year, and we're going to ask the same thing out of this new freshman group.
Bolt believes freshman first baseman Joe Dudek will help replace some of that power.
And for being as big and physical and strong as he is, he's got a smooth, solid swing with a lot of whip and bat speed. So you guys are in for at least 3 good years of watching him hit some balls over the trees.
Coach Mike Fox says he expects more than just on-field contributions and has turned to veteran shortstop Michael Russell for clubhouse leadership.
Michael Russell, I think from a position player standpoint, is kind of the heart and soul of our team. Played for 2 years and a junior and one of our hardest workers. So I think everybody sort of looks to him, create some energy, and hold guys accountable.
Regardless of roster turnover, junior Benton Moss says the tease of last season has fed the team's hunger for more.
It leaves a bittersweet taste in your mouth. You get so close just to knocking on the door, and you just can't, and nobody comes to answer. So I think that's another thing working for us this year is, a lot of us have tasted that, and we want more.
So as the weather gets warmer, the Diamond Heels hope to carry their own heat all the way to Omaha.
The baseball team lost 2 out of 3 games to College of Charleston in their season opening series and will face off against Xavier on Friday in Chapel Hill. And there have been a host of changes to the offensive side of Carolina football this offseason, most notably changes to the coaching staff. Our Ben Walsh reports.
It's certainly been a rollercoaster offseason for head football coach Larry Fedora and the Tar Heels. A week before the Belk Bowl, Carolina was hit with the news that offensive coordinator Blake Anderson had accepted the head coaching position at Arkansas State. Anderson's departure was not the only one, however, with recruiting coordinator Walt Bell and running backs coach Randy Jordan also leaving for greener pastures. It's not all doom and gloom, however. On signing day, head coach Larry Fedora unveiled new offensive coordinator Seth Luttrell.
We're extremely excited about having Seth join our staff and everything that he's going to bring to the table. He's very well known across the country. He's done a great job everywhere he's been.
Luttrell, who has previously worked at Indiana and Arizona, said that he expects to have no problem adapting to life in Chapel Hill.
Personnel-wise, we match up very well. Philosophy-wise, it's very similar. So I think it'll be an easy transition.
Luttrell spoke of his desire to create a family with both his coaching staff and his players here at Carolina.
The biggest thing is going out and building relationships. I think that's what this is all about. It's about building relationships, going out there and competing with these guys and building a family.
But just what can Luttrell bring to the offense will get the Tar Heel fans counting down the days till next season.
We'll sit down and figure it out as a staff. We're going to do everything as an offensive staff and as a unit.
With stiff competition at quarterback, Luttrell's focused less on who's catching the football and more on who's throwing it.
Where the best guys can end up playing. And I don't have favorites. I don't care if you're a freshman, if you're a senior.
With away games at both Clemson and Notre Dame next year, one thing is for certain. Carolina fans can expect an exciting season. Reporting in Chapel Hill, I'm Ben Walsh.
The football team started its Blue Dawn practices this week, and the spring game will be played on April 12th.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. It's a good week for some cool jazz here at Carolina.
Yeah.
We'll give you a preview right after this break.
I guess I can get out of here.
I come from a big family. I'm the oldest of 6. To me, being the first person to go to college, it's like setting a standard, My little brother is 8 years old now. I challenge his curiosity. I challenge him to dream. I have to paint a picture for him that he can look up to and live up to and possibly be better than. My name is Jaquez, and I am your dividend.
Dick will be flowing through campus this week.
Jazz, that is. That's the UNC Jazz Band. The group will be performing this week along with other jazz artists as part of the 37th Annual Carolina Jazz Festival. It'll feature some local artists, high school jazz bands, and even the North Carolina Repertory Orchestra. The festival kicks off this evening and will last until Saturday. If you want to get a ticket, have fun, and check out the schedule of the events on the Carolina Music Department's website. Thanks so much. That does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Good night.
Sorry.